Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Mac and Talk for Tuesday, March 25th, 2025. Getting ahead of myself there. I am Chanelle, your facilitator, and I am joined by all of you, and we are here to answer any and all Mac-related questions, whether you are trying to get started with VoiceOver or you have a Mac and you have a question about an app or feature. Or maybe you are even just trying to decide if the Mac is the right device for you. In all cases, welcome in, whether you're listening now or later on to the podcast. Before we get into all of your questions, let's go over some iBug announcements. You can find us on the web at ibugtoday.org. On our website, you can register to become a member. You can learn more about us. You can listen to recordings of our previous training workshops and find information about the iBug $500 raffle. I'll tell you more about that in a little bit. We are also on YouTube at our iBug Today channel, and we have several podcasts available in your podcast app of choice. In terms of announcements, this, Friday is iBug Night at the virtual movies it starts at 7:15 with a pre-movie social. Then there's a discussion at 8. A movie at 8. I'm getting ahead of myself, followed by discussion afterwards. There probably should be It's iBug's Life this week. I don't know. Just stay tuned. The main thing is to register on the iBug Today. What?
Next week.
This week. Okay.
Yes, this is the 5th Saturday, not the 1st.
Oh, I'm thinking.
Got ahead of yourself. That's okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking of George's call, It's iBug's.
Oh, you're Thursday. I am sorry. I was thinking what's the one on Saturday called? I can't, never mind. I'll be quiet.
That's iBug Unplugged, I think. Anyway, the moral of this story is to stay tuned to your announcements. Sign up to get our emails. Participating in all of our events is free. And every Monday, we have iBug Buzz, where we get to talk all about iOS devices and accessing iOS using the accessibility features. That is from 7 to 9 p.m. Central. All of these things take place here on the iBug Today Zoom. And stay tuned. We will, in April, of course, have our usual programming, our cafe, our Apple Workshop, iBug Android Insight, and just so many more things, movies, book clubs. You want to be in the know and join it. So now we are going to go around the room and say who we are, where we're calling from. And if you're joining us for the first time, we want to hear that as well. I am Chanelle, and I live in Houston.
Raheel from Albany, New York. And what movie is it on Friday? I forgot.
Thelma and Louise. Welcome, Raheel.
Herbie in Houston.
Welcome, Herbie.
I'm Sarah Young in San Diego.
Welcome,
Sarah in San Diego.
Welcome, Sarah, and welcome, Robert.
John Wisconsin Rapids.
Okay, John and Waukesha, welcome.
Joe Foster, Ottawa.
Welcome, Joe.
Tommy Rodriguez, Portland, Texas.
Hi, Tommy. Welcome.
Audio now.
I'm Allison in Indiana.
Welcome, Tim.
Dorothy Norris. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland.
Welcome, Dorothy.
Kelly from Carrollton, Texas.
Welcome, Kelly.
Melissa Rose from Denver, Colorado.
Welcome, Melissa.
Judy in Connecticut.
Welcome, Judy.
Donna from North Carolina.
Welcome, Donna.
Dan from Southern California.
Welcome, Dan.
John from
Brad,
BC,
I'm in North Texas.
All right, welcome, Brad, and welcome,
John.
John.
Melissa Wolf from Tennessee.
Welcome, Melissa.
Karen Wood from Columbia, Maryland.
Welcome, Karen.
Carolyn, D.C.
Carolyn, welcome. All right. Well, thank you all for being here. Now we can get started with your questions. No matter what it is, there are no dumb questions. We will do our best to help you.
I'm a little late. Eli from Malaysia.
Oh, sorry, Eli. Welcome.
Yeah, and
Also, Carlos from Long Island, New York.
Okay, sorry.
Hi,
Welcome,
sorry,
Carlos.
I'm here too.
And you are?
Sorry, Elena. Hi from
Elena,
Connecticut.
welcome. Okay.
Hi, Chanelle and everyone. This is Karen from Texas.
Hi, Karen.
Hello.
It's great to have you all here. We have current and former students and those interested, everyone else interested in the Mac. So glad to have all of you here. Now, who would like to start us out with our first question?
John Gunn.
All right, John, go ahead.
Thank you, Chanelle. This is going to be kind of a technical or a little deep here, I think.
Okay.
But you know me a little bit, Chanelle. I can be deep. That's why you got to get hip boots. Anyway, I am trying to loop back audio to WhatsApp. I got the WhatsApp WhatsApp on the Mac going last Saturday, and it's doable. But I want to have loopback do the audio, record, route my sources to that app. Now, here's what I've done so far. I've been in contact with Rogue Amoeba, and so far, no luck. I've got a device that I added with all my sources, and I have the under options, I have everything unmuted for capturing audio. And I was told today to try to have that device going. Then I went to system preferences. I'm only on Monterey. Went to system preferences and sound input, chose the virtual device I wanted, and went to WhatsApp. And under microphone, there is no choice for the device. So I'm just about.
This is Herbie.
Yes, Herbie.
Yeah, the problem is that WhatsApp only follows the default mic. So if you want to use loopback with WhatsApp, then what you're going to have to do is set that loopback device to your default mic.
How do you do that, Herbie? Good hearing you.
Okay, if you have sound source, it's a lot easier. If you don't, then I'll have to show you through system preferences.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if this might be a conversation to...
It's nothing complicated.
All right, go ahead.
So anyway, do you have sound source from Robomeek?
No, I do not. No,
okay, so what you're going to do then in your system settings, under sounds, just go to input and look for your loopback device.
Right, which I did. Yeah.
And then once you select it, then that'll make it your default input.
And that's what I did. That's exactly what I did. And I still don't see that under...
WhatsApp should automatically pick it up.
Yeah, but it didn't. Because Herbie, I could be wrong on this, but when I do that for WhatsApp, I go under calls, and when you got your microphone, the only thing I see in there is, my Logitech and so on and so forth. And I would expect to see the loopback device in there, but I don't.
Yeah, WhatsApp, I've not got... It was a funny app on the Mac, honestly. And I think that the restriction is on if it's not showing up at all, then, because you should at least see your internal mic anyway, if nothing else.
Well, I can see the internal. Well, I'm on a Mac Mini 2018. Right. So.
That'd be why then. It could be that WhatsApp is restricting it so that you can't change the mic setting.
Yeah, I think you're right, because all I see is under the mic is microphone system. And that's my AK with the Logitech, or the other choice is the Logitech.
Yeah,
two choices, one by itself, the other one is just the.
Then I think system. WhatsApp is the problem.
So I think we need to move on.
Okay, guys, thanks anyway.
All right, thank you. All right, who would like to ask our next question? And it can be any question. The sky's the limit. That was advanced, but we also welcome beginner questions. So,
Joe here.
Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
Once upon a time, when I went into mail, I could hit enter and then go down and read the email. I can't do that anymore. Also, I have to put Alt Control Shift down. Class action. To be able to get into the mail, I have to keep going back into it to open up each mail separately.
So you're wanting to know how to read your mail or how to open it, or because it sounds like you were saying you were opening it by pressing enter.
Yeah, and it used to work, but now I have to go and use the Control Shift down arrow to get to the next email. It always says table, and I have to open up the table each time for a new email.
This is Brad.
Go ahead, Brad.
In the Mac Mail app, and you are in the mailbox, or in this case, the inbox folder, inbox list view of what's in the inbox, correct? Are you interacting or not interacting?
I have to interact each time.
You don't have you can try not interacting, and then you can simply use the arrow key. Hang on. Try not interacting. Okay. Then just use your arrow key, no voiceover navigation. Just arrow key navigation up or down to the email you want to read. Then press enter. That should open it. If it doesn't start reading right away, you could do VO left, then VO right. And when it lands on the mail content area, it should just start reading. Sometimes it reads just when you open it. Sometimes it doesn't. There have been some weird behavior since Sequoia came out last fall. But you can, it opens a new window. So whether you were interacted or not in the main folder inbox list view, that is irrelevant, because now you've got a new window. If you just VO right, VO left, it should start reading. Okay, or VO left and VO right, it should just start reading. If it doesn't, then you can interact using VO shift down arrow, and you can use VOA to start reading. What did you say you were using? VO, you were using something.
I'll use the VOA for reading.
Okay, VOA should read. Yeah. If it doesn't read automatically, provided it should read from, if you interact with the mail content area, whatever it's called, it should start reading. Your voiceover focus should be at the top, and VOA should start reading.
Point was the arrow keys don't work. I can't go down from one email to the next with the arrow key.
Okay, this is Brad. Did you make sure QuickNav is turned off?
I'll always check that.
Yeah. I used to use QuickNav a lot when I was new at using the Mac, but I rarely use it nowadays.
Raheel?
Depends on what I'm doing.
All right, go ahead, Raheel.
So I usually just use the down arrow to go from the previous email to the next email after hitting the window command W to close the current mailbox, the current email message that I have open. So I just use the down arrow and then hit command O to open. That's what I do.
All right, very good. That's one way of doing it.
It doesn't work anymore. That's my problem.
Okay, sometimes, try what those suggestions Brad made. Also, when all else fails, turn off voiceover, turn it back on, quit the mail app, reopen it. There are things, but Brad gave a very good explanation. So thank you. And let's find out who has another question.
Eli.
Yeah, Eli, go ahead.
Hi, good morning, Brad, Chanelle, everyone else here. Okay, I have a question where I'm aware that once you install an app, you can find it in the app folder by pressing Command or Command Shift A. So I install an app from the developer website, but I can't seem to find it in the app folder. I've closed the folder, relaunched it, restarted, rebooted my Mac, but I cannot find the installed app in the app folder. So I'm wondering where could it be and how can I get it to appear in the app folder?
It might be helpful to know what app you were trying to install. And
okay, yes, I'll say that. It is basically the same app I was asking the question about last week about Amadeus Pro, and because I faced issues with the keyboard shortcuts, I thought, because I have the app installed, originally installed from the App Store. So I thought, what if I could test the keyboard shortcuts with the developer version of the app? It may be different. So I installed the developer version, but I did not copy the app into the folder. I was instead prompted and asked if I wanted the system to put it in there for me. And I selected yes. But after the installation was supposed to have completed, I went into the app folder and I cannot find the Amadeus Pro in the app folder. But if I go to the App Store and search for Amadeus Pro, I get open instead of download. So I know it's there, but I can't seem to find it.
Okay, so you want to find it, and the App Store claims it's installed. Interesting.
Yeah.
Has anybody else dealt with something like that?
This is Brad.
Yeah, go ahead.
What was the name of the app?
Amadeus?
Amadeus Pro.
It should be in the applications folder. Did you go to the desktop and then type Command Shift A and see if it's in there?
Yes, I did that twice. I also relaunched, rebooted my Mac, and it's not there. I cannot find it. Command Shift A. It opens, I get into the folder, I'm able to browse by A, and the A, there's no Amadeus Pro. There are other apps in there under A with the letter A, but not there. I want to see.
Okay. This is Brad. Did you go to privacy and security and see it shouldn't do this if it comes from the App Store? And
no, this is from the website. It's from the developer website.
You said it came from the App Store, correct?
No, I said I installed it initially the first time I purchased the app was from the App Store. But because of the issue I'm facing with the keyboard shortcut not working, I thought, how about if I give it a try, test it out to see if the keyboard shortcut would work on the developer website version.
I'm lost. I have no idea what's going on.
So first of all, remember there's two versions of the Amadeus app. There's the one from the App Store, and then there's the actual external app, which you can get from the website. And so my question is, did you purchase it from the App Store, but then download the one from the website?
Yes, I did that too. Yes, I purchased it from the App Store, but since I could not get the solution I wanted to, so I thought of testing it out myself and then re-downloaded it, the demo version from the website.
Okay, so first of all, they are two different applications. They're the same app, but there's two separate apps, two separate purchases. I think what happened is when you downloaded the one from the website, you did not actually install it. You did not move it to the apps folder. And so wherever you ran it from is probably where it's actually at. So that's what I think happened with the website one. Now with the App Store, there's not a re-download option. You said there's just an install. It just says
just open. It's open. Yeah, it's open.
So what happens when you open it?
It opens. That's the thing. It opens. I even went to the folder where I have the application icon, and the application is no longer there. But the zip folder, it comes to the zip folder. The zip folder which I downloaded is still in my download folder. I also have it unzipped, but I did not manually put it in the app folder.
So my first thought is there a way anybody to see the path of a program, like if you do the Spotlight search or the
Yes, I believe there is.
So I think you need to search for Amadeus.
This is Brad.
Find the path. Yep.
Go ahead, Brad.
Are we able to find where the app is? I mean, is that the issue? Because info would show it to you, but you got to be focused on the app.
Right. Well, Herbie was suggesting he could do a Spotlight search, and then I think like Command R will reveal the path or the location of something. Once you're focused on it in Spotlight. So
I'm confused though from the very beginning. If he bought it from the Mac App Store, downloading it from the developer's website, that version won't run because it isn't licensed. You bought it from the Mac App Store. The version from the App Store is the one that is licensed.
Yes, but the developer version gives you 30, you get a 30-day demo trial.
Yeah, but you bought it. But you bought it from the Mac App Store. So why would you want to then go download it? Even if it did run for 30 days, you'd have to pay for it again to make that version be licensed.
There's a purpose I did that. Because remember during the first lesson, during the first Mac and Talk, I mentioned that I have issues with Amadeus Pro and the keyboard shortcuts are no longer working as they should work.
Right.
So I was trying to do a self-test, and then I thought if I uninstall the App Store version and install the web version, that may cause the keyboard to make it work again. So that is why I uninstalled the App Store and reinstall the other version, the website version.
I still don't understand.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
I would I don't know. I mean, if it downloads from the developer's website, it's going to download to your downloads folder.
Yes.
And unless you moved it, that's where it is. And it probably downloaded either a PKG or a DMG.
it's a DMG, and it in fact.
Okay, well then you open the DMG. It's going to put a volume on your desktop.
Yep.
And
okay, I got it.
All right.
Okay, I'll figure it out.
All right.
Thanks for it.
Yeah, and I know at some point Herbie is going to talk about apps, but I would focus on just trying to maybe use the one from the App Store for now. And like Herbie suggests, you could try to do a search for it in Spotlight by hitting Command Space and then typing Amadeus. And then you might have to up arrow or down arrow to get to it. Once you do that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. So let's go ahead and move on to the next question. Who would like to ask a question?
Audio now unmuted.
This is Donna.
Yeah, Donna, go ahead.
I have about 3 questions actually, but I'll just do one for right now.
All right.
If anybody here has used Duxbury for the Mac?
Oh, I have not, but I've definitely am familiar with Duxbury. I know of it. I mean, I'm not, but yeah, go ahead and just ask your question and let's.
So it does work with documents from Pages. I know that I called Duxbury and they verified that it would. However, the person that I spoke with didn't know anything about text edit, which is what I would prefer to use if I ever purchase this $695 piece of software. I just wondered if anyone here had used that.
So you want to either open text edit documents in Duxbury? Is that my or is
yeah? So what? Well, I have the Windows version, and so what you do is open your file into Duxbury. It translates into a Braille document that you can.
Right.
So, but the software for the Mac is an entirely different purchase, and so I just wanted to know because I don't know too much about Pages. So I would be using TextEdit. And before I do anything like this, I want to see if anybody knows if it will actually work.
Well, my understanding is that you create documents in TextEdit, and they have the same extensions as the documents on Windows, like .doc, .rtf, .txt. So
if you save it as that.
If you save it as that. So wouldn't those open in Duxbury?
I would think so, but as I said, before I
Okay. Go ahead, Herbie.
One thing you have to check with TextEdit is make sure there's not a hidden .txt in the file extension. I've been tripped up by that a couple times when I've changed formats on a text file. So make sure it's actually not. It could actually be a genuine text file. The Mac may not read it because sometimes it will not immediately read the file thing that it's familiar with. So I would actually hit enter on the file and just double check that it ends in whatever the Duxbury file format's supposed to be.
EBT.
Yeah.
Right. This is Brad.
Right. But you wouldn't do that. Oh, go ahead, Brad.
Right. That's after it's converted. This is Brad. Have you made sure your Mac is showing file extensions? By default, Mac, just like Windows, does not show file extensions.
Oh, that's right.
You should go to your desktop, do Command, comma, to open Finder extensions.
Okay.
It's going to open up a little properties dialog box, settings dialogs, whatever we call it these days. Up at the top is a toolbar with 4 buttons or whatever they're called, 4 options. You're going to interact and VO right arrow to advanced, VO spacebar to select it, stop interacting, VO right arrow into the settings area of this little window. And if I'm not mistaken, if it's not the first one, it's one of the first ones. Will be, I believe, I can't remember if it's hide file extensions or show file extensions. Whatever it is, you want to make sure it's checked or unchecked. I think you want to check it to show file extensions. And then it'll show your file extensions. Then
show all file name extensions.
Yeah.
Yep.
Then you create your document or you open it in. The nice thing about TextEdit, it'll save in a DOC or a DOCX, but it's very simple. It won't include a lot of the fancy stuff that Microsoft Word is capable of doing.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have created your file, opened it, whatever you've done, and it's in a folder, go look at that file in whatever folder it's in. And like Herbie said, double check. Make sure the file name, I mean, it is possible. It could have a .txt as part of the file name, followed by a .doc or docx.
Yep.
Also, when I worked at the Lighthouse, we had an old version of Duxbury, and it didn't recognize docx. I would imagine a new one does. Docx has been around now since 2007, but I had a copy that predated docx. So we had to make sure everything was in a plain doc. So, but I would make sure your file extensions are showing and double check that file. And I'm not sure if you can then do a save as, I mean, not save as, do open the shortcut menu and look for open with. You may have to open Duxbury and then do a Command O to open a file within Duxbury. And that's all I can think of.
The other thing I can think of is if you're wanting to save a document in, .doc or, .docs, make sure text edit is set to rich text format. And you can alternate between plain text and rich text with Command Shift T, and you press that command before you save. Otherwise, when you save, you're going to be limited. Yeah. Yep. So,
Robert Carter has joined the meeting.
That's the other thing.
This is Melissa.
Yeah, Melissa, go ahead.
Donna, if you are able to, I know they used to allow you to do, 10 pages every time with just a free Duxbury. I know you have the Windows, but maybe they would let you do, that kind of thing until you make sure that it will work with what you want it to do before you pay $695 more for the Mac version. Okay. And, but it does say that it will work with RTF files. So like Chanelle was saying, maybe you can change the file type if you have.
All right. Thanks, Donna. Great question. Let's see who has the next question.
Have to break the silence. Joe here.
Yep, go ahead, Joe.
Sometimes when I open up an email, open it up, all it says is text, and then I can't read it. Has anybody else had that experience?
All right, reading an email. Kind of sounds like the problem you were talking about earlier, or is that...
I think it may be all related because, as I said before, using context menu, I have to use it every time I go to a new email because it says table.
This is Brad.
Go ahead, Brad.
You're saying when you open an email in your inbox or create a new email with Command N?
No, open a message in my inbox.
Okay. And it says text, right?
Correct.
Have you tried interacting with that area?
Yes, nothing happened.
And then are you able to read it? Are you then able to read it after you interact with it?
No, I can't.
You can't do it with line by line or VO, right or left arrow or anything.
Not when it says text. I get hung up at that stage.
And are we sure it is not a big graphic? Like, have you tried opening the same email on your iPhone to see? I assume you have your mail set up. You have an iPhone and you have your email set up on the iPhone, correct?
No, I mean, this is all on the Mac.
No, I'm asking you, are you able to access your email? Do you have an iPhone and are you able to access your email on your iPhone?
Yes, I can open it up on the iPhone.
And does it read on the iPhone?
Yes.
And there's something going on with that email. It's not just text. It's got a graphic or something in it. It may have a graphic and it has text, but it's just seeing text. I get emails from local restaurant. They're always wanting to send, tell me about their specials, this, that, the other, but I can't read them on the Mac very easily.
Yeah.
I can read them on the iPhone. From who?
From me?
It's from who?
This was the latest email from Chanelle with last week's.
It's an email from Chanelle. Well, yes. I don't understand why that wouldn't be readable.
And make sure when you do interact, that's VO shift down arrow. That's caps lock shift down arrow. Or
yes, or number 9. Both work.
Yep. All right.
There's something up in system settings. Is what I think I might have done.
I can't think of anything in system settings that would affect. If anything, it'd be in the mail settings, but I can't think of anything in there.
No.
Hi, this is Robert from College Station.
Yeah, go ahead, Robert.
I was just wondering how you're when you say you open the mail, are you using Command O to open that message, or Enter, or how are you actually opening it?
I've tried both. Sometimes just return, sometimes voice over space, and sometimes Command O.
You've tried all three, and they all are yielding exactly the same result.
Get the lovely message.
I have honestly never seen that. I've had challenges with mail at various times. I used to operate mail very differently than the way that I do now because I think things have changed for whatever reasons on the Mac with voiceover and mail over the years. But I've never seen one that I tried to open and it just said text. So I'm like the others, I'm kind of stumped, but I just thought I would ask how you were opening it. Thank you for that. I'll go back to listening mode.
No, thanks for the input. And I'm sorry yeah. Has that happened, Joe, with all? Does that happen? You said it just was with an email that I sent out. So has it happened with other emails I've sent?
It's happened with other emails. It's only happened the last couple of days. So something brand new.
This is Brad.
Go ahead, Brad.
Sometimes you forward to the Macintalk group.
Right.
iBug emails that have the big iBug logo.
Oh, yes.
And that would be what I'm talking about. It's a graphic and it's got the little ladybug thing and says IBUG. Yep. And you're going to hear it. Mine won't read that. I mean, I have enough vision. I see what it is. I don't see it very well, but I know what it is. So, but it won't read it. It just says, I don't know that it says tech. I guess I've done it so many times I don't even pay attention to it.
Well, because it comes in Michael's emails. It's always in his.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing. I just VO right arrow and it goes right past the graphic and reads the rest of it.
Yeah, so maybe try VO right arrow. But I don't.
Okay, I'll try that again because I wanted to download the 2 messages from the last week and I couldn't do it.
Oh, well, last week wouldn't have with the recordings and the.
Correct.
Okay, that wouldn't have.
No, that wouldn't do it. No.
No. Okay, well,
But if this is Brad, how are you sending the recordings? An attachment or URL?
So I send the focus questions as an attachment, and the recordings are a link. But I've also
Okay.
I have them all in the body of the email as well. So they have
Yeah.
multiple ways of accessing the same.
The attachment might just be saying text because it's an attachment.
That could be. I mean,
sometimes they'll mine read them, and sometimes they just say text. But
right, I know that's at the bottom of the email, but that wouldn't really matter. Go ahead, Herbie.
So just going back to the original question. So, Joe, you're saying because even though like the email itself is not blank, so you're seeing the rest of the text of the email, right?
No, it's just telling him text.
And so, what methods are you using to read? Okay, let's go back to basics real quick. First of all, is your quick nav on or off?
Yes, I go to all mail, I check it, and then I switch over to messages. And then quite often I have to use the context menu to get it open because it says table. Then I can read them.
I think you're quick now.
Still, it's a new message, and I have to use table.
But you shouldn't have to use the context. The context menu is VO Shift M.
I'm talking about. So this is Herbie. I'm talking about quick nav. Your left and right arrow keys. If you press them together, does it say quick nav on or quick nav off?
I always have it off.
Okay. So, when you go to the table, my other thought is, do you have like the preview pane like interfering with? Because even if the attachment said text, you would still see the actual email, and I've never seen an attachment that just says text.
Herbie, we may need to work with him outside of this since it affects accessing the class stuff. So
yeah.
We could try to brainstorm here, but I think the best solution would be for you to work with him.
I think that might be best. This is something new and different.
All right. Well, we will do our best to help you, and thanks, though, for bringing that up. Let's see if anyone else has a question.
Suchita.
I'm sorry.
My name is Suchita.
Suchita. Okay, welcome. Go ahead.
I am brand new to this group, and I have a very old Mac that I am going to have someone help me, iMac, download JAWS on it. But I actually went to YouTube to find a beginner's iMac help video, help one of your old sessions. Wondering, it doesn't. I was trying to look for a topic, but it goes by numbers, like how many sessions you guys have had. It's over 600, but it's not really telling me a topic. Is there a different way to search for beginners?
So first of all, you can't download JAWS onto a Mac. That's so hopefully that's not too disappointing. We use the screen reader called VoiceOver. Also, if you search for the iBug Today Mac class, it might be easier if I just send you the direct link, and those aren't necessarily in order, but you'll have like 9 to deal with as opposed to, because I think all the videos you're seeing are all the trainings that iBug has done.
Correct.
So if you could send me an email, and my email, are you able to find my email on the iBug Today website?
I actually got it in the newsletter there. Okay.
All right, so send me an email and I will send you a link to the videos that are up on the website, on the YouTube playlist.
I had a thought on the previous caller. Sometime that word text, but not in, I'm talking about Windows. That happens to me also. But I usually forward the email like I'm pretending to forward it because I can't find the attachment just by opening it. In Outlook. So I forward the email and then I can shift escape. At least those are I know Windows. I don't know I'm Mac or anything yet. In order to find the attachment, but that way he might want to try that. Just forward the email and see if he'll read it to him that way.
That's an interesting. So Command Shift F on the email, and when you're in it, and you can get the text that way. So thank you, Sachita, and what?
Thank you.
Keep coming back, and I'll look forward to your email.
Thank you.
All right, we're ready for another question.
Well, this is Donna again.
Okay, go ahead, Donna.
I know I should know the answer to this question, but in Safari, when you open a web page, what is the quickest way to get to the main region? In other words, in JAWS, you can press the letter Q and you get to the main region, and I can't seem to do that.
That's Brad.
I can't seem to find that quick way on the Mac.
Go ahead, Brad.
If you, what you want to do, it's VO end, END. If you have an extended keyboard, you know where to find the end key in the 6-pack area. If you are using a MacBook Pro, Air, whatever, with the
I'm using
laptop
the
keyboard. So
you're
using what?
What? VO end?
No, VO end, END, VO plus end. If you were using a MacBook that does not have an extended keyboard, you would press VO, and when you hold down the FN key, it changes the arrow keys from arrow keys to, for example, the right arrow becomes the end key.
Okay.
And that will take you to the web content area, and then you would want to interact with VO shift down arrow. And that's the fastest way to get to it.
Okay.
It might not take you to the,
It will.
It'll take her to the beginning of the...
No, it takes you to the web content area.
Right.
And then you interact with it. You're looking to get to the web page, correct?
Yes.
She was
the
talking
beginning of the web page or the end. It just takes you to the web page and you start out at the top. If you want to get to the lower right extreme of the web, you would then do VO end again once you have interacted with the web page. And that will take you to the lower right or the end of the web page. VO home, and doesn't always take you to the top. Sometimes there's little sub areas that you may have to interact all the way out of it and then interact again. And that takes,
she was asking,
then you start up at the upper left, excuse me.
She was asking if we had an equivalent command to the command in JAWS for jumping to the main region. And
that would be VO end. And then you have to interact with it.
The main region is like the beginning of, content. It would take you past.
That's what I call the main region.
Links and past the, maybe, I don't know, whatever.
Oh, you mean when you're in the web page, how to jump past all that stuff at the top, right?
Yes.
I just jump to the first heading.
That's what I
and
do
that
too.
usually jumps you past them. So that would be VO Command H.
Right.
Or, yeah, and
And
that's usually going
sometimes
to take
it
you to the
works.
first heading.
Yeah, sometimes that works for me, and I'd say for me
Depends
it's
on the
not
web page, how it's
maybe it's the
constructed.
web pages that I'm on, but I'll try this other and see. Thank
Okay.
you.
Sorry, I misunderstood what you were asking.
Yes, go ahead, Herbie.
Another trick you can, now this isn't always going to be useful on every website, but it's especially if you're just reading the website, is you can always just view the text of the site by bringing up the reader mode with Command Shift R, and that may or may not work. It depends on the website.
Right. Okay. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you.
Well, I have another question. This will be my last one if nobody else has one right now.
All right. Let's go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. And so I've had this Mac forever and I've never printed from it. So if I just press Command P, is my Mac going to find my wireless printer or do I need to do something?
All right. Good question. I don't know. Does anyone else?
This is Brad.
Go ahead, Brad.
You need to make sure it's set up. You want to go to settings, printers and scanners, and make sure it's set up. And also, I don't know how old your printer is, but your printer must use the AirPrint protocol. And most of the modern ones do nowadays. But if it's really old, it may not have AirPrint. But you will go to settings, which used to be called preferences, and then printers and scanners. And then you're going to want to set up a new printer, keeping in mind that even if it's the same unit, it considers a printer and a scanner separate devices, even if it's a all-in-one device. You have to set up a printer separate from setting up a scanning device. But we're just talking about printers. So you want to make sure it's set up. Okay. Then once it's set up, you could just go to your document or whatever and do Command P.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Who would like to ask the next question?
This is John.
Yeah, go ahead, John.
I'm kind of embarrassed to ask this question, but anyway. So I know on iOS, like when I'm using a keyboard, I can do VOS to mute or unmute voice over speech. What is the keyboard command for the Mac to mute and unmute voice over speech?
Great question.
There isn't one.
Yeah, but you can create one.
Yes, you can create a keyboard commander, or now they're called option key commands. Or you have a trackpad?
Yes, I do. That's how.
Turn the trackpad commander on and do the three finger double tap.
Yes, that was my
That'll
workaround.
do it. Yep, that'll do it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've definitely created myself a command because I don't like having to mess with the trackpad.
Amen.
So, yeah. All right. And I know I should at some point try to revisit it. It's like Brad says, it's called option key commands, and configuring commands these days is a little bit more complex with VoiceOver. Doable, but a little bit more complicated.
This is Brad. Actually, once you finally get used to the new layout, you will find it's exactly the same. They just make it seem more complicated by adding, what is it? What do they call it? List view versus table view.
Yeah, and you can customize all possible commands. It's not just
there's all kinds of other stuff.
Place.
Yes,
yeah.
there's a pop-up box to filter what you're looking for.
Yep.
And yes, and they've added tons more stuff. They took something that was straightforward and easy to understand, and they took away the tabs, which gave you quick nav separate from trackpad commanders, separate from keyboard commanders, separate from number, and lumped it all into one page. But once you finally get used to it, you'll find that, except for the fact that they've added so much there to make it complicated, if all you want to do is set up a keyboard commander, which they don't call commanders anymore, they call them commands.
So weird.
It's really the same. It just took me a long time to reach that resolution.
Yeah, I can do it, but I got to figure out a way. I've got to figure out a way to explain it that makes sense.
Yes,
that's the
teaching
problem,
it is tricky, and
I can do it myself, but it's how in the heck do I explain
There's also two radio buttons for keyboard commands, for example.
Right.
One that's like, what do they call it? Built in?
Oh, yes. And one that's
and
custom.
then the other is user defined or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
And all of the built in ones are in that user defined list.
Right.
But what's interesting is you can't change the built in one. Well, maybe you can.
I don't think you can. I always go to user defined.
But you can make a ton of user defined ones and then select the built in button. And those are the only ones that will work.
Yeah, the
even
built-in
if you
ones.
get out, even if you get out of the voiceover utility. But if you go back into voiceover and select user defined, then all the built-in ones and all of the ones you created will now work again.
So it's another quick way to reset voiceover settings
without wiping them out.
Yeah, without wiping them out, which is what I do for my class demos, but I haven't backed up.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a discussion on changing voiceover settings, command customization, and how to do some of that. So
this is Brad. I have a comment on this is kind of one of those things that makes you go, that's interesting. Remember when Sequoia first came out? I believe you and I had a conversation, Chanelle, and I told you that two of my keyboard commander, there's four because there's two sets of them. I made a keyboard commander to vote one to raise or lower voiceover sound, right? And I made another one to increase or decrease voiceover speech rate.
Yep. Those are my issues, and they didn't work.
Did yours work?
No, I thought I was the one complaining.
Well, I thought you told me. Well, okay. Well, I told you mine didn't work, and I was just fooling around with them, and I ended up just deleting them from my MacBook Pro.
Me too.
But I apparently never did it to my Mac Studio.
Oh.
So after the most recent update, was that 2 weeks ago to 15.3.2, I noticed on the Mac Studio they were working again.
Oh,
now,
wow.
I don't know if maybe it was a previous version and previous update and I just now stumbled upon it, but they're working again perfectly. So I went on the Mac Studio rather than go and recreate them on the MacBook Pro. I went into VoiceOver Utility and exported, and you're allowed to just export certain things.
Right.
So I exported keyboard option key commands is what they're called in Sequoia. And then I moved them over to the MacBook Pro and imported them. And they're working like they always worked before, just like a charm.
Wow.
I have no idea, why. It's kind of like earlier this year, a year ago about this time, my move command option V stopped working on the MacBook Pro.
Oh, weird.
It still worked on the Studio. It wouldn't work on the Pro. I tried it wouldn't work with my built-in keyboard. It wouldn't work with my Bluetooth Magic Extended keyboard either. Because first I thought, wow, there's something wrong with this keyboard, Thank God for Apple Care. But no, that wasn't it. And I thought, but they worked just fine on the Studio, which is using a different Magic Bluetooth keyboard, one with a Touch ID sensor, but that doesn't matter because it's a different keyboard, but everything worked fine over there. Update after update, it never fixed itself. I just thought there's got to be something going on here. Then, I don't know, it was before Sequoia came out. It was into one of the last updates of Sonoma. It just started working again. No explanation on the MacBook Pro. It never stopped working I was just having to go to the edit menu and arrow down to paste and hold down the option key and it would change to move and then press the enter key. And that's how I was having to move. And then it just started working again. So, I can't explain these things. It would be, I can imagine reporting this to Apple Accessibility.
I didn't.
It's not, I didn't bother because most of the time I don't bother because they give me lip service and nothing ever happens. And then things usually magically fix themselves.
No, I think I thought, because my commands would sort of work, but I couldn't get it to go beyond, a couple percentage points I'd press maybe my Option and 2 key, and that would raise my volume to like 90%, and then it wouldn't do
Correct.
it anymore.
It
So
just wasn't right.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm going to have to try that now that I've reassigned all those
Or it'd go
keys to other
down.
things. Yeah.
It'd go down, but it wouldn't go back up.
Right.
Things like that. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
But it just started working again, just like it never had a problem.
Wow. All right. So has anyone else had any quirkiness that has been resolved or made worse by certain updates? Seems to be the theme of this discussion.
This is Tim.
Yeah, go ahead, Tim. Go ahead, Tim. Oh, am I still hearable?
You're hearable, and so was
Okay.
he. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Well, this is
Maybe he
Herbie.
muted himself.
Hello.
Okay.
Yes,
Oh, there you
this
are.
There you go.
Tim.
Window.
I on the similar discussion about keyboards and updates specifically with Sequoia. The problem that I'm having of late is that I have a MacBook Air M2, which I updated 3 weeks ago from macOS Ventura to Sonoma and then to Sequoia in preparation for the Mac training class. And I have a Apple design keyboard, which is a very old keyboard, but it's an Apple keyboard, which I've used with no problem whatsoever with this MacBook in the previous OS versions. And now I'm getting a lot of intermittent situations where I'll wake the computer and the keyboard will work or not. And I don't really know. I never shut the computer off. I usually just put it to sleep. However, restarting doesn't seem to help the problem, and unplugging, replugging the keyboard doesn't help. The other thing that I should probably mention that is probably not a critical factor in this is that the Apple design keyboard that I use has an USB-A connector, and the MacBook Air has a USB-C connector, and so to bridge that gap, I use an Otherworld computing dock, or I also have tried using a USB-A female port adapter to a USB-C male adapter on the computer instead of the dock. And again, I have the same problem with either setup.
This is Brad.
Anyone else had a similar type of problem with this, or can I offer any suggestions for keyboards?
Yes,
Go ahead,
this
Brad.
is Brad. My wife has an M1 iMac. She prefers her Apple. It's not a really old one. I don't know how old yours is, but she has the last USB keyboard that Apple sold. Okay. And she has it plugged, of course. It has a USB-A port, and anything recent only has she has 4 ports. Two are Thunderbolt / USB-C, and 2 of them are just USB-C, and it doesn't matter. But when she first started using it, I had an inexpensive Anchor USB-C to USB-A adapter, and after a restart, it wouldn't work. You'd have to unplug it and plug it back in. I changed to a $19, which is much more expensive than the Anchor, because the Anchors you got like 2 of them for $15 in a little package from Amazon. I changed to the USB-C to USB-A adapter that Apple sells for $19. And now it worked fine. The only time, no, I don't even think she has to do that. See, the problem is her Mac does something that I've never seen any other Mac do. In the middle of a Mac OS update, it stops and she has to type in her admin password. Always. Never seen it not do that. And the problem with that Anchor one was if you unplugged it and plugged it back in, it still wouldn't recognize the keyboard. And that's how I ended up having to solve this, was in the middle of an update. I don't think now she still has to unplug it, plug it back in, but she still has to type her admin password in the middle of an update. So I would recommend you get one of these Apple adapters if you really want to use that keyboard. I mean, do you have this problem with the built-in keyboard on the? Oh, you said it was a iMac or a MacBook Air?
This is Tim. It's a MacBook Air M2. And
okay, so you have a keyboard
only
built
with
in.
The external keyboard.
Yeah.
The built-in keyboard works fine. I've never not
Yeah.
had the problem with that. And it's
Right.
only when I'm using Sequoia, because I never had the problem before upgrading to Sequoia.
Yeah, she had it since that Mac was brand new, and that was back in Big Sur. August of 21 is when she got it. Get you some of these $19 adapters and see if your problem goes away. It may not, because when you reboot, turn it on, some of these things, well, hers never has a problem, except when she's updating, it makes her type in the pass. But that's not really a problem. It's just what it does. I've never seen any other Mac do that. But just get you one of those $19 adapters. You can order them from the Apple Store app, and they'll have it to you in a day or two. They're just expensive,
Can I add
but there's
something
something in them.
about that?
Yes. Who is this?
Hi, this is Elena.
Yeah, go ahead, Elena.
So I have a third party keyboard that I use, a full size keyboard sometimes with my Mac, and it also has a USB-A. So I'm pretty sure it's a cheapy little Anchor two pack also that you were talking about, Brad. And sometimes I get a window pop up that says asking me if I want to use the keyboard accessory, and I just have to press yes. But until I press yes, it won't allow me to use the external keyboard. So I don't know if if maybe that's something that's happening.
Safety thing. USB-C you have to acknowledge that a USB-C device is plugged in, but I don't get it on most others. But
yeah, so once I press yes on that window, then I'm able to use the external keyboard. So I don't know if that's helpful.
I don't know that I've had any dialog boxes show up on my computer, but again, I can't see the display. So I don't know if that's applicable to me, but I will certainly order the Apple adapter that Brad is mentioning.
if you are getting that alert that she's talking about, there is a beep that will sound about every 20 seconds to let you know there's a system dialog that needs attention. So if it's there, I would think you'd hear that beep.
And that's when you could do VOF1, F1, like I
for
mentioned.
System dialog. Yep.
Yep.
And I would think that it's going to, if that thing is there, you're going to get a beep. But I could be wrong. Because usually anytime there's an alert, an on-screen notification in the upper right-hand corner, a system dialog, it makes that beep.
I have not heard any beeps, and I, of course, cannot see this screen to see if there's any notification.
That's why it makes the beep to alert you that it's there.
Yes, those beeps are very helpful.
It's a voiceover thing to let you know it's there, and it'll do it even if it's behind another window. Maybe you have a little sight, but you just can't see it because it's behind another window. It'll make that sound until you dismiss it one way or another.
Okay, well, I have not heard that beep at all, so I don't think that's applicable to me.
Right.
All right.
Robert?
Yes, go ahead, Robert.
It's not related to the keyboard, but I had an older Mac, and I just upgraded to the newer Mac, which of course has USB-C. And I had a USB-C to USB-A thing, and I have external drives that I used for backup and for other storage, and they were not reliably hooking up to my new Mac. And I went and got the Apple one, and I've not had a problem since then.
Exactly. Me too. I have several external drives connected to my Mac Studio. I think I've got 5 of them. Anyway, and they're all, well, one of them plugs directly into USB-A, but all the other ones, the 3 that are USB, no, there's 2 that are USB-C. 3 of them are USB-A. I'm using those same adapters on them for that same reason.
All right. Sounds like the moral of the story is to go with the Apple stuff. It works.
It works, and that's why they get away with charging $19 for it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I got a bunch of them that I bought for one reason or another, and they will work when others don't.
All right. Would anyone like to suggest a new topic for discussion?
Well, this is Herbie.
Yes.
Going back to your earlier point about quirkiness, I'll tell you one that has disappeared from me, and I don't know if it's just because I persistently did something to combat it or if it just finally went away, but for the longest time it would have the user authentication window, and then a few weeks ago somebody suggested on the list if you lock the screen and re-unlock the Mac, then that makes that window go away. And lately, now when I restart my Mac, I don't see that window anymore. So,
well, I still get application. If I leave my Mac, inactive for a couple minutes, and it still says application.
Always.
Blah, blah, blah,
Yes.
blah.
Okay, see, I don't get that on my
I wonder if it has had something to do with display timeout. I don't know.
Yes.
I've tried adjusting.
Yes.
Okay.
My Mac Studio, both of my Macs will do it actually, but my Mac Studio, because it's plugged into electricity, it goes a long time before the screen turns off, and I don't think it ever goes to sleep. I think I got that turned off, but
right.
Well, it means screensaver, but anyway, it will do that, and it says something like that application window application.
Yeah.
I know the MacBook Pro does it too, and it's usually if it's on, it's sitting here, it's plugged into power. So I'm not too worried about it either. And I can't remember. I think I've got it set to do one thing on battery and one on something else on power. But it sits here for 10 minutes before it'll turn the display off. And that's when it happened.
Okay.
And it's set to lock itself immediately, whereas the other one doesn't lock itself immediately. I just hit a control key and it wakes it up.
I'm just so tired of hearing application. If I want to listen to something on my Mac, like lately I've been using Spotify.
Yes.
And so if I want to listen to something and then, I leave it inactive, an application, I don't need to hear that with my music.
Just have to reach up and hit the control key every now and then.
Yeah.
I know. Or just let it, or just do, if you're listening to something and you know you're going to be listening to it for a while, just do Command Control Q and lock the screen, and then it won't do that.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, Herbie had something.
Interesting idea. Yeah, go ahead, Herbie.
So my Mac has never done that application thing that yours does.
You've heard mine though, haven't you?
Yeah, I've heard yours.
Yeah.
Let's see. I have an energy saver, like I have
different in the display settings.
Off, so mine's not set to go to sleep. I know I set the display things really high because for the simple fact that I don't have a display, so it can't ruin anything.
Well, that's why I thought since I don't use the display, I should set them really low, like 1 minute, 2 minutes, or whatever. But maybe I should not because it messes. I don't know.
Don't use a display. Well, you have a MacBook Pro. You have a display.
Yeah. So if
you can't. Yeah, I know you can't see it. I mean, you have a display as opposed to not having a display. Like Herbie's Mac Mini doesn't have a display at all.
But I have the thingy, turn off display after like 1 minute or something.
Oh yeah. Make it longer.
Yeah, I should.
My Mac Studio was set for 20 minutes.
Okay.
And I can even be watching a YouTube video, which I say watching. I mean, I can see it's there, but I can't see what's there. Mm-hmm. But even though I'm watching that or something, it will eventually, because I haven't touched the key, it will turn off the display after 20 minutes, and which is annoying because it talks.
Yep.
But you can always just lock the screen. See, but mine just periodically, when it's locked, it unlocks itself. I don't know what causes it to, but I just feel my watch vibrate and it just woke up. I never touched it.
Yeah.
Maybe the wind blew on it. I don't know, but it will just unlock itself for no reason whatsoever. So it'll do that too.
Yeah.
Because I've let it go, and if I let it go to sleep and then it sits there for I don't know how long, it'll talk again when it locks itself. But I just started a lot. I'm watching something. I know it's going to last 30 minutes, an hour. I just, Command Control Q and lock it. And then it's locked.
All right.
And I should just take the watch off. Won't automatically unlock itself.
So this is Herbie. I have a new topic.
Okay, go ahead, Herbie.
So last year I got a brand new external hard drive because I needed something that has a lot more storage. And it's one of those like passport drives. And the one thing I've not liked is it's really slow to navigate on the Mac, whereas like my previous 2 terabyte drive, which was a Samsung, is practically flawless. So I'm just wondering, are there any brands that are known overall to work better with the Mac that are beyond 2 terabytes? So if I consider a new hard drive.
This is Brad. When you say it's slow, you mean when you first start to do something with it?
A lot of times, I'll struggle to get folders open or things like that.
It's because it has to wake up.
It has to kind of wake up even though it isn't awake.
And I don't know of any other way around that. I have a 12 terabyte Western Digital. It does the same thing. Right. I got an 8 gigabyte Seagate. It does the same thing.
Yeah, and what's interesting is like on my Windows computer, it is practically flawless, which is
Well, it's probably not letting it go to sleep.
Yeah.
Which is wearing it out. I've told mine. I've gone into my settings and told it to. Oh God, what did I do? My son told me what to do. I don't remember. He's much smarter than I am, but he told me to do something to it so it won't run all the time. And mine was just sitting there running all the time.
Yep.
And I said, it's going to wear the thing out.
Okay.
And I have Backblade also, and I told it to not just do periodic back because I noticed all my drives would just sit there and just run and run and run. They'd stop, then they'd start running again, and it's because the Backblade thing is checking and seeing if it needs to,
right,
back it up to the cloud. So
Did you say this was an SSD or just a regular?
A regular.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Well, I think so. Yeah. Well, actually, that's a good question.
Mine are not SSDs; they're spinning drives.
I mean, I
And
guess
they have to wake up. I have an SSD.
Right.
Yeah, I bet if it's bigger than 2 terabytes, it's not up because those are expensive.
Right.
But mine has to wake up, and I can even open a folder.
Yeah,
And then I open a subfolder, and I have to wait for it to.
Yep.
I don't know. It's got an index or whatever it does, but
But you were saying, Herbie, even after it wakes up, it takes forever to.
Well, it probably is the whole waking up thing, like Brad is describing.
it's got an index again or something.
Because like my Samsung 2 TB drive, that works flawless.
That's different. That's no moving parts.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Who would like to ask the next question or bring up the next topic?
Since we're just talking about, oh, sorry, this is Carlos.
Go ahead, Carlos.
I'm like the worst case scenario, Carlos. That's my approach to computer stuff and everything. So I always have things backed up and whatnot, but I'm new to, playing with a Mac. So any general recommendations out there on things that you're using for, and I'm talking about like a local backup, because I know, of course, you can back stuff up to the, cloud type stuff, but like, what do you use for like a local backup?
All right, who wants to answer that? Go ahead, Herbie.
So I use both Dropbox, iCloud Drive, and external hard drives.
Okay, he was asking specifically about local.
But I heard external hard drives. So
This is Brad.
Go ahead, Brad.
You can connect an external hard drive and then set it up to use Time Machine Backup, and it will periodically back up, and it only backs up what's changed since the last time it did a backup.
No, Time Machine Backup?
Yeah. I haven't used one in a while, but you can go in. They have many uses. You can go into them and find a file that was backed up from a certain point in time. You can also use them to restore your system should the whole thing crash. I don't recommend using them to set up a new machine because you're going to also, when you use them to set up a new machine, the intent of a Time Machine backup is to provide a backup of the machine that made the backup. Yes, you can use it to restore a machine because sometimes what happens if your whole Mac craters and you have to wipe it and restore. But when you restore, it wipes your drive and restores what's on the Time Machine backup, which means you get all of what I call the detritus from your Mac. There's all kinds of, oh God, what do we call them? Just old stuff. Help me out here, Herbie. What's it creating? It creates not logs,
snapshots.
Cache files, and you can clear out the cache of your browser, but your computer has still made all kinds of things. If you install apps and do updates, they leave stuff, from the updating process. You collect a lot of stuff, which is why a lot of people, I don't do this, but every year when a new Mac OS update comes out, they will wipe their drive and make a fresh install because they really want to keep that hard drive clean of all that old stuff. But so, I don't recommend using a Time Machine backup to set up a new Mac. Some people do. I would think the other one, my brain doesn't work. But
Migration Assistant?
Yes, thank you.
This is Tim.
Assistant.
Yeah, go ahead, Tim.
With regards to backup software for local backups, I've used Time Machine and Carbon Copy Cloner. And of the two, I found that Carbon Copy Cloner is a little bit more reliable because Time Machine can sometimes get corrupted with their backups. However, the problem with Carbon Copy Cloner is that I have yet to be able to entirely figure out using it with VoiceOver. I know Carbon Copy Cloner like the back of my hands with my eyesight, but without eyesight now, it's a little hard for me to navigate. And ironically enough, AppleViz does list Carbon Copy Cloner in their application compatibility index, but they don't actually give any commentary on how it is or isn't used or compatible. Insofar as the other part about doing a restore via Time Machine to a new Mac, that is also possible, and I've done that many a time. Basically, when you do a Time Machine restore, you can go in and select which items you want to restore, like applications or documents and settings, so forth. So you don't have to go in and do an entire disk backup restore. You can just restore just the applications or just the documents and settings. And you can also specify which users, because if you have separate user accounts, you may not want to restore all of the users' accounts that you have to the new computer.
This is Brad.
Go ahead, Brad.
And there's yet another approach that we talked about, meaning when I took Microsoft System Engineer courses long time ago when I was still sighted. They taught us about, of course, they're talking about, managing an enterprise network. You got 3 levels of what you need to back up. If your computer totally craps out, you can always buy a new computer. You can always reinstall an operating system because you're not going to lose that. That can be purchased. You can always reinstall your apps. Either you've purchased back in the day, they were all on floppies or CD-ROMs. Nowadays, they're in the cloud. If you've purchased it and you've safely stored your license keys someplace, preferably in the cloud, or if you buy things from the Apple Mac App Store, you can always just re-download them from the App Store, but you can always reinstall your applications. The one thing you cannot replace is your business or personal data. And I, on a regular basis, probably should do it more often. I do it once a month, but most of my stuff is in iCloud, my documents folder, iCloud or Dropbox. And I know that stuff's not going anywhere, but I make a backup of my home folder, the one that's got my username. If I do Command Shift H, it takes me to the home folder and I'm looking at the Brad folder. I will make a copy of that Brad folder because that's got my music. It's got some other stuff that's in that folder. And I copy that to an external drive. It doesn't take long. Back before I had such a fast Mac and SSDs, I used to do it before I'd go to bed at night every now and then. And it would take, 30 minutes, an hour. Now it does it there's more stuff there, but I got a faster Mac and I'm writing to an SSD. That's probably the big thing right there is the SSD read-write speed. I don't think how fast the Mac is, maybe matters, but I make sure that I constantly back up my personal data. I know most of my stuff is in iCloud. I got about 1.3 terabyte of stuff in iCloud. Probably time to almost buy some more iCloud space. I keep an eye on, how full it is. Don't want to buy it until I need it. Don't want to pay Apple any more than I need to. But that's another approach is just, back up what needs to be backed up,
And I have I do everything out of Dropbox. There's a few things in iCloud, but if I was to try to back it all up locally, I'd have to make all the things offline, view offline, and that would Dropbox is just so convenient. So no, I have not done local backups in years. I know, it's so bad. I used to like to use Carbon Copy Cloner though, because back in the days when I was doing boot camp and trying Mac betas and all that, you could, with Carbon Copy Cloner, you could boot directly from the drive you used to create the backup. So I don't know if that's still the case, but
This
the main thing. Yeah, go ahead, Herbie.
So there's a couple reasons why I rely on both online and local backups, and I won't go into all the details, but one of the advantages why I have to, where I can run I'd love to have a larger hard drive on my computers, but there's only so much I can spend. But I work with a lot more larger files, like with music and stuff. And when they are online only, then you have to wait for them to download and stuff like that. So sometimes having immediate access to them on a hard drive definitely comes in handy. So there are some, there's advantages to both. Oh, and another advantage to local backups, of course, is you have immediate access to your stuff should you ever have to reformat your machine. But I also rely just as heavily on the online backups because they're universally available, including on my phone as well as the Mac. And so I use them both for very different reasons, if that makes sense.
Definitely.
This is Tim again.
Yeah, go ahead, Tim.
Well, to follow up with what Herbie was saying, no, unfortunately, you can't boot up a Mac from the Carbon Copy Cloner backup anymore because Apple has changed the ROM systems. And Mike Bombich, the creator of Carbon Copy Cloner, has complained in his blog to no end about that problem. I also wanted to mention to Brad that there are programs for cleaning out cache files like the system caches and so forth. A program called Onyx, Onyx, will clean that sort of detritus and stuff out of your system.
There's also Clean My Mac, which is paid, but yeah.
There's several of them that do that. You are correct, but still, I just never, ever, whenever I get a new Mac, that is an opportunity to start clean. And I will do that. And, like I said, other people like to wipe their Mac and start over every year.
That's what I did 3 weeks ago. So yes, and that's what I prefer to do, and that's what I needed to do in this instance because I'm trying to resolve an issue with Microsoft Office. But that's another tale for another time.
Yeah, we should talk. I got an issue with Microsoft Office.
Well, it seems like you might. The next opportunity to do so will be, and I forgot to mention this, bad on me, but we have Mac Buzz next. Wait, no, next. Okay, it is next Tuesday.
Next week, Tuesday. And your problems, and you get the reason why you have problems with Microsoft, it's Microsoft.
It's Microsoft, exactly.
Oh,
we should all just use Pages.
Exactly. But anyway.
Then we'd be out of sync with the rest of the world.
Yeah.
That's okay.
The majority of the world.
They've been out of sync with the rest of the world for a long time.
I was very pleased. This is Herbie. There was a commercial for a network backup system. I forget which one. But they actually mention that they include Mac integration. And so it was one of those, trying to get businesses to switch over, and they actually mentioned the Mac. I was like, all right, good for you guys. I'm proud of you. Anyway, we got to run.
Yeah, we have 2 minutes, but come to the next Mac and Talk, and then Mac Buzz, and then the next Mac and Talk will be April 22nd. So,
Joe here. Sometime in the future, do you want to talk about contacts? Very easy in the iPhone. I'm having difficulty doing it in the Mac.
This is Herbie.
Go ahead, Herbie.
We will definitely talk about those. That's a great topic for the Mac Buzz, because I'm always looking for content. And if not, we can talk about them in the review session as well. But yes, I am very familiar with contacts on the Mac. And if you can bring that up at the Mac Buzz, that would be a great opportunity.
All right.
I think people enjoy hearing me and Brad talk, but that only goes so far, right?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for coming. We will see you back for Mac Buzz and other iBug stuff. Don't forget to check out the website. I guess we're close enough to the 8:30 mark, so we can go ahead and end it. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Enjoy.